Morning. So in the last video, we had seen we have started the module 5. So module 5 is message passing. So like in that, like we have seen the meaning of message passing as well as the issues in the message passing, direct and indirect naming, also called as symmetric naming and asymmetric naming, and the syntax to be used like in case of asymmetric naming, the protocols that can be used to achieve the synchronization between any two communicating processes. So we have something called as blocking sends and blocking receive, non-blocking sends and non-blocking receive. Uh, so after that, like we had seen the exceptional conditions, so which can occur while we are having the message passing. So basically, we have these 5 exceptional conditions. So now, so for this class, let me start with the next topic as implementing message passing. So the subheading is buffering of inter-process messages. So for this, so we have a small data structure. So by name IMCB. So this IMCB is nothing but inter-process message control block. So its main function is to store all the information necessary to deliver the message. Okay, so you can recall this IMCB. Okay, so this data structure, so by name IMCB, inter-process message control block, will be able to store all the information needed to deliver the message, right? So when any process PI, so when any sender process PI sends a message to another process PJ using a non-blocking send, okay? Suppose if non-blocking send is used by any sender process, okay, right, to the receiving process PJ, so then the kernel will be able to build this IMCB data structure or IMCB table, like having these many fields, right? So whose main function is to store all the information necessary to deliver the message to the destination process or to the process PJ. Okay. So here the type of send used is a non-blocking send, and I can recall the meaning of non-blocking send according to the previous discussions what we had. So non-blocking send means that say the sending process will be able to send the message, and after sending the after executing the send instruction, so the sender process becomes free. Okay, so that sort of send is called as non-blocking send. Okay, so when a process PI is able to send a message to the receiver process PJ using such a non-blocking send, so like in that case, the kernel will be able to build this IMCB table whose main function is to store all the information necessary to deliver the message. So let's see the contents of this IMCB data structure. And as you can see here, this IMCB contains the name of the sender process, okay, and the name of the destination process. Like the sender process can be this PI process, like in our case, and destination process can be our PJ process, as well as the message length. Okay. Next field is the message text or address. Okay, as well as the IMCB pointer. So this pointer field of IMCB are used to form IMCB lists. Okay, so the pointer fields of IMCBs are used to form the IMCB's list to simplify the message delivery. So basically, this IMCB contains all this information like sender, sender process, okay, and destination process, as well as the length of the message and the message text or address and IMCB pointer. So this IMCB is allocated a buffer in the kernel area. Why? Because it needs to store all the information related to the delivery of the message. Hence, this IMCB is allocated with a buffer in the kernel area. So when a process PJ makes a receive call, okay, so when the receiver process is able to execute the receive call, so that the kernel will copy the message from the appropriate IMCBs into the message area, okay, message area that is provided by the receiver process PJ. Okay. Yeah. So next, here we have something called as the list of AMCBs for blocking sense in case of symmetric naming. Okay, so you can recall the meaning of symmetric naming. So where both sender and receiver process must specify each other names. Okay, so like in case of symmetric naming, and if I go for the non-blocking sense, again recall the meaning of non-blocking sense means sender will send and sender will become free to do other work. Okay, so after executing the send system call, okay, the sender process will become free and like it can do other execution of instructions. Okay, so if a symmetric naming and a non-blocking sense and first come first serve message delivery systems are used, so then I need to have a separate list can be formed for each and every pair of the communicating process. Like as you can see here, so this PI and PJ are a pair of the communicating process. Here you can see the list headers for the process pairs. I mean, PI and PJ and PI and PK and PI and PL pairs are being shown here. And these are nothing but the pointer fields. Okay, these are nothing but the pointer fields. Okay, pointer fields of IMCB that is used to simplify the message delivery actions. Okay, so as to form the IMCB list, like as you can see here, the list of IMCBs. Okay, so suppose if the suppose if the blocking sense are used, okay, but again recall the meaning of blocking sense. So blocking sense are used. So then at most one IMCB will be there for each pair of the communicating process. Okay, so a single IMCB list can be maintained per receiving process. Okay, so according to select this particular figure, so when a process PJ is executing a receive call, so then the kernel will be able to copy the message from the appropriate IMCBs into the message area provided by the PJ. Okay, and if I do use a symmetric naming and a non-blocking sense as well as first come first serve message delivery system is used, so then I need to maintain a separate list, okay, for each and every pair of the communicating process like PI and PJ, PI and PK, and PI and PL. Okay. So when compared to the asymmetric naming, okay. So again, recall the meaning of asymmetric naming means receiver not knowing the sender. Okay, like there is no need that the receiver should be able to mention the name of the sender. So here the source process or the name of sender is not necessary. Okay, only the message what the receiver has sent is important in case of asymmetric naming. So if like in case of asymmetric naming, a single list of IMCBs can be formed. Like as you can see here, a single list of IMCBs can be formed per recipient process. Okay, so when a process performs a receive, okay, so the first IMCB, right? So the first IMCB in its list can be processed to deliver a message. Okay, so a single IMCB list can be maintained per recipient process, and when a process is able to execute a receive call, so then the first IMCB in its list, as you can see here, so the first IMCB in its list is processed so as to deliver a message. Okay. As we know that, so we have basically a blocking sense and a non-blocking sense. Okay. Suppose if I go for the blocking sense, suppose if the blocking sense are used, so then at most one message sent by a process can be undelivered. Okay. So the process is blocked until the message is delivered. Okay, as you know, the meaning of blocking sense means so once the sender process PI is able to execute the system call send, so then the sender process will be going into the blocked state until the message is being delivered to the receiving process. Okay, so the process is blocked until the message is delivered. Hence, it is not necessary to copy the message into an IMCB. Okay, so the same point like in case of symmetric naming was, so when the process PJ executed a receive call, so then the kernel was used to copy the message from the appropriate IMCB into the message area. So, but here, suppose if I go for the blocking sense means the process will be blocked until the message is delivered. Okay, hence there is no need to copy the message into the appropriate IMCBs. Okay, so you can explain this mm, blocking sense in symmetric naming as well as blocking sense in asymmetric naming using these figures. Okay. So next is delivery of inter-process messages. So next heading syllabus is delivery of inter-process messages. So what is the concept here? Suppose if I assume a condition, so where a process PI or a sender process PI is sending a message to the recipient process PJ. So like under this condition, I can expect here two possibilities. Okay. So one possibility is, so this PJ has already performed a receive call and it is in the blocked state. Okay. So the first possibility in the communication between the sending and the receiving process is, so the receiver process PJ has already performed a receive call and now it is in the blocked state. And second possibility is, so the PJ process has not yet performed a receive call. So, but so this PJ process or the receiver process may do execute the receive call in sometime in near future. Okay. So for the first possibility, like suppose if I take the first case means the kernel must see that the messages are delivered to the recipient process PJ and also the state of the recipient PJ should be changed from blocked state to ready. Okay, why? Because now like now the recipient process PJ is able to have the reception of the message, right? Hence the kernel must see to that the messages are delivered to the PJ, and the kernel should be also able to change the state of the recipient process from block to the ready state. And regarding the solution for second option, so where second option was, so the recipient process PJ has not yet performed the receive call. Okay, so for second option, here the role of kernel is the kernel must deliver the message when PJ performs the receive call. So upon the execution of receive call by the recipient process or receiver process, then only the kernel will be able to deliver the message to the recipient process. Okay, so these message delivery actions of the kernel, right, will be triggered by the send and receive events. Okay, so the kernel will do this message delivery actions once we give send and receive events. Okay, so based upon the send and receive events, the kernel will be able to do all these message delivery actions. Okay, and this is implemented using one data structure called as ECB. Okay, so where this ECB stands for event control block. Okay, right? So these message delivery actions, right, of the kernel will be triggered by the events like send event and the receive event. So they can be implemented using one data structure, so by name ECB, where ECB stands for event control block. Okay, so we can implement the kernel performing the message delivery actions. Okay, so once we give send and receive events, right? So this ECB is created when some process decides to wait for the occurrence of its event. Like again, this event can be like any one of these examples. Either I can have the send event or receive event. And the possible example, first events can be, say, some process creation event may be there, or some process termination event, or a resource request event can occur, or input output completion event may occur, or message sent event may occur, message receive event may occur, etc. Okay, so this ECB will be created only when some process decides to wait for the occurrence of its events, like either send event or receive event. And so some possible examples have been also mentioned here, say for send or for receive events. Okay, so for example, the process creation or process termination or resource request event or IO completion event or message sent event or message receive event, etc. Okay, so this ECB will be having basically three fields. Okay, like as you can see here. So this ECB event control block, right? So which is created. So when some process is deciding to wait for the occurrence of either send or receive event. So this ECB will be having three fields basically. So the first field will be the description of the event. Okay, right? So the first field will be the description of the anticipated event. Second field will be the ID, right? ID of the process that is looking for this particular event, or the ID of the process that awaits for this particular event to occur. And third field will be the ECB pointer for forming the ECB lists. Okay, so like as you can see here, right? So we have here like this ECB of the receiver process PJ. Okay, so we have the first field as the description of the anticipated event. Okay, and second field will be the ID of the process that is awaiting this particular event to occur. Okay, and the third field will be the ECB pointer for forming the ECB list. Okay, so like suppose if you assume the condition as so for example, this sender process PI is able to execute the system called send, and this process PI is sending a message to the receiver process PJ. Okay, so suppose if the sender process PI is executed a send call before the PJ executed receive call. Understand this? So the sender process PI has executed a send call before the PJ executes a receive call. Okay, so but like here the case is, so this recipient process PJ was not expecting this send call by the sender process PI. Okay, so for this particular case, so you can have the actions, right? The actions as shown in the here, as shown here, right? So here this PI process is executing a send call before the PJ process execute a receive call. Okay, so but this PJ process was not anticipating or expecting a send event. Okay, so therefore, so this event handler will block the process PI. Okay, like as you can see here, the process PI is being moved into the block state. Okay, until the delivery of the message when PJ performs a receive call. Okay, so the bottom line is, suppose if this PJ was not anticipating or expecting a send event by the sender process PI, so then the event handler, what it will do is the event handler will block the process PI, right, after the PI is able to execute a send call. Okay, until the delivery of the message when PJ performs a receive. Okay, so it creates an ECB for the event received, as you can see here. Okay, so it creates an event received from PI by the PJ, right, and puts PI as the identity here. Here it is. Okay, and puts PI, right, as the identity of the process that would be affected by the event. Okay, why? Because we have here the ID of the process that was awaiting for the event. Now it is PI. Okay, right. So you can see here also. So the process PI is put into the block state, and the address of ECB is put in the event information field of PI's process control block. Like here it is, the process control block of central process PI, and in its ECB field, and in its event information field. Okay, so we have the event information field of the PI's PCB. So we have the address of this ECB. Okay, so the address of the recipient process PI is being stored in the event information field of the process control block of the central process PI, right? So next is, suppose if it is a situation so where the process PJ, okay, now analyze this. So when the process PJ executes a receive call before the PI execute a send call, okay, like this is exactly the opposite case of the previous one. Like in the previous case, that what we saw was PI was able to execute a send call before the PJ execute a receive call. So, but here, like in second case, the situation is, so the process PJ is executing a receive call before, okay, so before the PI executes a send call. Okay, so say that now for this case, and ECB for a send to PJ, see, and an ECB for send to PJ by PI, okay, an ECB for send to PJ by PI event is created, and the ID of the PJ, right here it is, ID of the PJ is put in the ECB. Here it is, right? ID of the PJ is put in the ECB of the central process PI. Let's first indicate that state of PJ would be affected, right? State of the PJ, right, would be affected. So when the send event occurs, right? Yeah, like this figure is showing the PCB of the recipient or the receiver process PJ, like having the PJ as the first field. Okay, and second field is the ID of the process. Here it is, the ID of the process which gets awaited for this particular event, and third field will be the ECB pointer for forming the ECB list. Okay, so you can explain these concepts of delivery of inter-process messages, where we go for a data structure called as the event control block. Okay, and also you can explain the contents of this event control block, like having three fields, and for two cases. Like the first case is, so when the central process PI is able to execute a send call before the process PJ execute a receive call, and second situation is, so when PJ execute a receive call before the central process PI executes a send call. Okay, so for both the cases, you have the appropriate diagrams and relative explanation. So you can explain this along with the buffering of inter-process messages implemented using a data structure. So by name IMCB, IMCB stands for inter-process message control block. Okay. So like in the next class, let me deal with the next concept called as the mailbox. Okay. So we have information regarding the mailbox, right? So that we will discuss in the next video. Thank you.